In the bustling, vibrant city of Hong Kong, the air is thick with anticipation as a crowd gathers to witness a highly anticipated martial arts sparring match. Among the spectators is a distinguished man named Mr. Braithwaite, who has come to observe the best martial artists in the region. The atmosphere is electric, the air filled with the sounds of combat and the murmurs of excitement. In the midst of this excitement, a particularly skilled fighter named Lee steps into the ring to face an opponent significantly larger than himself. Lee's prowess is evident from the start, his movements a blur of precision and speed. Despite the size difference, Lee forces his opponent, Sammo Kambo Hung, to yield, showcasing not only his physical strength but also his strategic mind. As the match concludes, Lee performs a stunning flip over several monks who raise their hands to create an obstacle, earning a round of applause from the impressed audience. Mr. Braithwaite is particularly taken with Lee's performance and later arranges a meeting with him. Before they speak, Lee imparts a lesson to a young student, emphasizing the importance of harmony, control, and respect in martial arts. This scene reveals Lee's deep understanding of martial arts as more than just physical combat. It is a philosophy, a way of life. Mr. Braithwaite reveals his purpose for the meeting. Lee has received an invitation to a prestigious martial arts tournament on a private island owned by a reclusive man named Han. Han is suspected of engaging in illicit activities such as prostitution and heroin trafficking, but no concrete evidence exists to link him to these crimes. Braithwaite asks Lee to attend the tournament as a spy, to gather evidence against Han. Lee is initially reluctant, not keen on participating in the tournament, but he eventually agrees, driven by a deeper, personal motive. Before departing for Han's island, Lee visits the old man of his Shaolin temple, who recounts a tragic story from Lee's past. Han's thugs had once attacked Lee's sister, Su Lin, on the mainland. Though she bravely fought them off, she was eventually cornered in an old warehouse. To avoid being beaten and raped, Su Lin took her own life using a shard of glass. One of the men who witnessed her suicide was Ahara, Han's right-hand man. The old man urges Lee to seek revenge, not only for Su Lin but also to restore the honor of Shaolin. As Lee prepares to leave, he encounters two other men heading to the tournament: Roper, a charming playboy who is hiding from the mob after incurring significant gambling debts, and Williams, a strong, determined black man who had been harassed and attacked by police in the United States but managed to escape. On the boat to Han's island, Lee and Roper place bets on a praying mantis match. Lee bets on the smaller mantis and wins, showcasing his belief in strategy over brute strength. An aggressive invitee named Parsons tries to provoke Lee, who cleverly outsmarts him without resorting to violence, demonstrating his strategic mind and calm demeanor. Upon arrival at Han's island, the guests are greeted by the sight of hundreds of martial artists practicing on vast courts. That night, they attend a lavish feast where Han himself makes a grand entrance, flanked by his elite female guards. Han's display of his guards' precision and skill, such as hitting fruit tossed in the air with small darts, adds a sense of both awe and menace to the gathering. Lee catches one of the darts, subtly showing his own skill. After the feast, Han's hostess, Tanya, introduces young women to Roper and Williams. Roper, ever the playboy, requests to spend the night with Tanya herself. Williams, on the other hand, is warned by the woman with him not to step outside his room, a hint of the dangers lurking on the island. When Tanya visits Lee, he requests the company of Mei Ling, the young woman who had thrown the dart he caught earlier. Mei Ling reveals herself to be a spy sent by Braithwaite before Lee, and she informs him that many young women who come to the island disappear, hinting at Han's dark activities. Determined to uncover the truth, Lee sneaks out of his room that night, evading Han's guards with his exceptional stealth. He discovers a hidden trapdoor leading to several underground chambers where Han is manufacturing heroin. Despite his combat skills, Lee is forced to retreat when the risk of being caught becomes too great. As he makes his way back, he is spotted by Williams, who is intrigued but does not intervene. The next day, the tournament begins in earnest. Roper and Williams demonstrate their skills, impressing the spectators and Han himself. Roper, always the gambler, bets on Williams and wins a substantial amount of money. However, the atmosphere darkens when Han accuses Williams of being the intruder from the previous night. In a tense confrontation, Williams demands to leave the island, but Han refuses. A brutal fight ensues in Han's quarters, ending with Williams's death at Han's hands, revealing that Han's left hand is a deadly bronze weapon. Meanwhile, Lee faces Ahara in the tournament, driven by the memory of his sister's death. Lee's ferocity and skill are unmatched, and he defeats Ahara, who tries to attack him with broken bottles in a desperate move. Lee delivers a fatal blow, avenging his sister and further dishonoring Han. Han, visibly disturbed, leaves the court in silence, plotting his next move. Han then takes Roper on a tour of his mansion, showing off his extravagant lifestyle and the darker aspects of his empire. One room is filled with gruesome trophies, including a severed human hand. Han attempts to recruit Roper into his operation, showing him the heroin lab and the prisoners he holds. Roper is horrified, especially when he sees Williams's body, and he refuses Han's offer. Han has Roper taken prisoner as well. Determined to find a way to communicate with Braithwaite and gather more evidence, Lee infiltrates the lower levels again that night. He uses a cobra to scare off the radio operators and sends a telegraph message before being discovered. A fierce battle ensues, with Lee using his martial arts skills and the guards' own weapons to defeat them. Despite his efforts, Lee is eventually captured by Han. The next morning, Han pits Lee and Roper against each other, but they refuse to fight. Han orders Bolo to fight Roper instead. Roper, though initially on the defensive, manages to defeat Bolo with a clever kick. Han, enraged, orders his men to attack both Lee and Roper, but the two friends fight back valiantly, holding their own against the overwhelming odds. In the chaos, Mei Ling frees the prisoners, who join the fight against Han's guards. Lee pursues Han to his house, where Han equips himself with a clawed weapon. The two engage in a brutal fight in Han's trophy room, a space filled with mirrors. Han uses the mirrors to his advantage, but Lee, realizing the trick, begins to break them. The shattered mirrors symbolize the breaking of Han's deceptive power. In the final confrontation, Lee impales Han on a spear, ending his reign of terror. Exhausted but victorious, Roper and Lee share a moment of mutual respect as the prisoners celebrate their freedom. The final scene shows Han's clawed hand stuck in the table, a symbol of his defeat. Lee and Roper's journey is one of courage, justice, and the triumph of skill and honor over corruption and brutality. Movie commentary. The narrative unfolds in the bustling city of Hong Kong, setting the stage for an intriguing blend of martial arts prowess, espionage, and personal vendetta. The story centers on Lee, a highly skilled martial artist, whose journey intertwines themes of honor, justice, and retribution. From the outset, the tale captivates with its dynamic depiction of Lee's combat skills, effortlessly showcased in a sparring match where he bests a larger opponent. This initial display of Lee's abilities not only establishes his physical prowess but also hints at his deeper philosophical understanding of martial arts, as he later imparts lessons of harmony and control to a young student. The plot thickens as Mr. Braithwaite introduces Lee to the primary mission, infiltrating a martial arts tournament on a private island owned by the enigmatic and sinister Han. The tournament serves as a facade for Han's criminal activities, including prostitution and heroin production. Braithwaite's request for Lee to act as a spy is met with initial reluctance, but a personal motive soon propels Lee into action. The revelation of his sister Su Lin's tragic death at the hands of Han's thugs ignites a burning desire for vengeance within Lee, adding a compelling layer of emotional depth to his character. The journey to Han's Island introduces two additional key players: Roper, a charismatic playboy evading mob debts, and Williams, a resilient man who has faced racial harassment and police brutality. These characters add richness to the narrative, each bringing their unique backstories and motivations. Their interactions with Lee, particularly during the boat journey where Lee cleverly outsmarts the antagonistic Parsons, underscore the theme of intellect triumphing over brute force. On Han's Island, the story delves into a world of deception and danger. The lavish feast, guarded by Han's elite female guards, juxtaposes the island's serene appearance with the underlying menace. Lee's covert investigation into Han's underground chambers reveals the dark reality of heroin production and the disappearance of young women, painting a stark contrast to the island's initial allure. The tension escalates as Lee evades capture, his stealth and combat skills put to the ultimate test. The tournament itself becomes a battleground of not just physical strength but also moral fortitude. Lee's fight against Ahara, driven by the memory of his sister, is a poignant highlight, showcasing his unwavering resolve and exceptional skill. The subsequent revelation of Han's true nature, particularly through the brutal killing of Williams, heightens the stakes and solidifies Han as a formidable antagonist. The climax of the story is a masterful blend of action and strategy. Lee's infiltration of Han's mansion, the liberation of prisoners, and the final showdown in the mirrored trophy room create a gripping narrative arc. The symbolism of breaking the mirrors to strip Han of his deceptive power adds a layer of depth to the action, culminating in Han's dramatic demise. The resolution brings a sense of closure and triumph, with Lee and Roper sharing a moment of mutual respect amid the chaos. The final image of Han's clawed hand stuck in the table serves as a powerful symbol of justice served and the end of a tyrannical reign. In summary, the story is a captivating blend of martial arts action, espionage, and personal vendetta, enriched by well-drawn characters and a plot that balances intense action with deeper philosophical themes. It is a tale of honor, resilience, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil, masterfully woven into a compelling narrative.